Julius Caesar. Was he a hero, a tyrant, or sacrificial pawn? Let's dive into the history and see what we find. Prior to the establishment of the empire and the reign of emperors existed Julius Caesar, a figure of exceptional brilliance and peril. His demise within the heart of Rome by his own allies remains an enigma. Was he a tyrant, a savior, or merely a pawn in a more intricate struggle for power? Today, we unravel the life, death, and secrets of the man who changed the world, and ask, was Caesar murdered for Rome, or just because he had saw too much? Julius Caesar was born in 100 BCE into the ancient but declining Juliani family, noble by name but poor in influence. His birth gave him status, not power. From the start, Caesar had something to prove. He was ambitious, charming, and dangerous. He rose through the ranks not just with strategy. Caesar didn't just win battles. He built alliances through marriage, first to Cornelia, tying him to the powerful populares, then to Pompeia, connecting him briefly to Sulla's old elite, and finally to Calpurnia, daughter of a wealthy senator. Each marriage wasn't just personal, it was political leverage, paving his path to power. To win the adoration of people, Caesar spent big, very big. He borrowed massive sums from wealthy elites, especially Crassus, one of Rome's richest men, to fund lavish public games feasts and festivals. Gladiator matches, chariot races, spectacles meant to earn loyalty from the masses. It worked, but left him buried in debt. For Caesar, popularity came at a price, and he paid it in gold he didn't yet have. Caesar needed a way to break Rome's inner circle. To do this, he formed a secret alliance in 60 BCE known as the First Triumvirate. This consisted of three men with one goal: power: Caesar, the rising politician; Pompey, Rome's top general; and Crassus, the richest man in the Republic. Together, they bypassed the Senate, controlled elections, and ruled Rome from the shadows. It wasn't official, but it was unstoppable, until ambition tore it apart. Then came Gaul. Gaul, modern-day France, Belgium, and parts of Germany, was wild, rich, and untamed. Caesar waged war there for nearly a decade, claiming it for Rome. He crushed tribal resistance, killed over 1 million, and enslaved just as many. But it wasn't just conquest, it was calculated. Every victory made Caesar richer, more famous, and dangerously powerful. Gaul wasn't a campaign, it was his launchpad to legend. 10 years of conquest forged Caesar into a war machine. He wasn't just winning, he was building an army loyal to him, not to Rome. In 49 BCE, he crossed the Rubicon. It was treason, it was war, and Caesar knew it. By Roman law, no general could bring an army into Italy proper. The Rubicon River marked the boundary. When Caesar crossed it in 49 BCE with his legion, it wasn't just defiance, it was treason, a declaration of civil war. He knew the risk. But with the Senate turning against him, retreat meant ruin. So he marched, and Rome would never be the same. After crossing the Rubicon, Caesar clashed with his former ally, Pompey the Great. The civil war was brutal, Rome versus Rome. In 48 BCE, Caesar crushed Pompey at the Battle of Pharsalus. Pompey fled to Egypt and was murdered. With his rival gone, Caesar returned to Rome unopposed. The Senate named him dictator, first for a year, then 10, then for life. The Republic was still alive, but barely. Once in power, Caesar moved fast. He reformed the calendar, creating the one we still use today. He redistributed land to veterans, cancelled debts, and expanded citizenship across the empire. He packed the Senate with loyalists, cut through red tape, and rebuilt Rome's crumbling systems. In just a few years, he reshaped a broken republic into his vision of order, efficient, powerful, and centered around him. But not everyone saw a reformer. Some saw a king in disguise. Did Caesar refuse the crown out of humility or political performance? Was Rome being reborn or being ruled? As Caesar's power grew, so did the fear. He bypassed the Senate, ruled by decree, and surrounded himself with loyalists. Statues were raised, his image stamped on coins like a king, even wore the purple robe of royalty. To men like Brutus, Cassius, and the old Senate elite, this wasn't reform, it was tyranny. They feared he'd crown himself emperor and end the Republic forever. To them, one man's ambition was about to destroy Rome. Dozens of senators who once served Caesar now plotted his death. The signs were everywhere. A soothsayer warned him, "Beware the Ides of March." Birds flew in strange patterns. Sacrificed animals showed no hearts. And the night before his death, Calpurnia, his wife, dreamed Caesar's statue poured blood as Romans bathed their hands in it. She begged him not to go to the Senate, but Caesar, bold or blinded, brushed it all aside. He said, "What is meant to be, will be." He walked into the Senate on March 15th, 44 BCE. Some say it was about saving the Republic, others say Caesar knew the blade was coming and welcomed it. March 15th, 44 BCE, Julius Caesar walked into the Senate unarmed, confident, and surrounded by men he believed were his allies. But trust is a dangerous thing. Steel flashed. They descended on him, 23 blades slicing through flesh, not all to kill, but to condemn. Each stab a scream of rage, each thrust a wound carved by fear. And then Brutus, his friend, his shadow, his betrayer, Caesar saw him, and the world stopped. "Et tu, brute?" he whispered as his heart broke before his body did. He collapsed at the foot of Pompey's statue, blood soaking marble. The tyrant had fallen, but so had the Republic. The assassins thought they saved the Republic, but they lit the match that burned it down. Chaos followed, riots in the streets. Mark Antony turned public grief into fury, and Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian, used his name to claim power. What followed was another civil war, more bloodshed, and the final death of the Republic. In the end, it wasn't freedom that rose, it was empire. Caesar's murder didn't stop tyranny, it crowned his legacy through his successor, Augustus, Rome's first emperor. Was Caesar Rome's last hope, or its greatest threat? Did the Senate act for the people, or to protect their own power? Was Caesar building a dictatorship, or preventing chaos? And most of all, what if Caesar had lived? Julius Caesar didn't just change history, he became a question that echoes for eternity. So we ask you, was Caesar a hero, a tyrant, or a sacrificial pawn? Comment your theory, like if you learned something new, and if you crave more untold history, forgotten empires and dark truths from the ancient world, subscribe now, because the past isn't dead, it still shapes us today.